Picture this. Thursday evening. You're standing at the stove in a kitchen that still doesn't feel like yours. 11 months in this house, and you still reach for the wrong cabinet when you want a glass. Pasta's on. Your twin daughters are at the table, crayons everywhere, arguing about whether purple counts as blue. Your wife walks in, sets her purse on the counter, doesn't say hello to the girls. "That neighbor was flirting with me again today," she says. Right in the driveway. The whole street could see. She's not upset. She's watching you. There's something in her eyes you haven't seen before. Hunger. She wants the eruption. The raised voice. The jealous husband who storms across the lawn. You look at her, then at your daughters. Bess is holding up a drawing of a house with a crooked chimney. Rosie's quietly stealing her purple crayon. "Don't rush back," you say? She blinks. "Excuse me. If you need to go sort that out with him, don't rush back." Her face does something it hasn't done in a long time. Goes blank. Not angry blank. Confused blank. Like a machine that received an input it wasn't built for. That was my wife. My kitchen. My Thursday in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My name is Donnie Birch. And that was the last time Verna ever tried to make me jealous. Let me back up. We moved to Winston-Salem from Greenville 11 months before that Thursday. Verna wanted the move. A dental office had offered her a lead hygienist position, better pay, better hours. I ran a custom cabinet shop back in Greenville. 12 years of word-of-mouth clients. A reputation built one kitchen at a time. I closed it down and packed the tools because she said this was our fresh start. "We need this, Donnie," she'd said. "New city, new energy, new us." I believed her. That's the thing about being the quiet one in a marriage. You learn to trust the loud one's instincts. You figure they see something you don't. The first month was good. We found a house in the Ardmore neighborhood. Old trees, sidewalks, the kind of street where people still wave from porches. Bess and Rosie started first grade at Brunson Elementary. I leased shop space off Watown Street and started rebuilding my client list from scratch. One Sunday, maybe the third week, we walked to Camino Bakery for coffee. Rosie had powdered sugar on her nose. Bess asked why buildings in North Carolina looked different from buildings in South Carolina. Verna laughed, really laughed, and said, "Because they're fancier here. Like us." That was the last morning all four of us moved in the same direction. By month 3, Verna found Grace Fellowship Church. Not for God, I think. For people. She'd always needed a circle. Women who validated her, mirrored her, told her she was right. In Greenville, that was her 2 sisters and a college friend. In Winston-Salem, she had nobody. Until Mamie Forsythe. Mamie was the pastor's wife. Mid-50s, silver hair, a voice like warm bathwater. She ran a women's group on Wednesday nights. Spiritual support, she called it. Verna started going in month 4. By month 5, she was there twice a week. By month 6, she quoted Mamie the way some people quote weather forecasts. Casually, constantly, like it's just the air they breathe. I didn't mind at first. She seemed calmer after those meetings. More centered. What I didn't know was that Mamie Forsythe had a very specific kind of gift. She could look at a marriage from the outside, find the thinnest crack, and press her thumb right on it. Gently, lovingly, until the whole thing split. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The changes came quiet. The kind you don't notice until you line them all up. She stopped asking about my day. Then she stopped waiting for me to get home before eating. Then came the separate cars. First time, a school event for the twins. "I might need to leave early," Verna said. "I'll take mine." She didn't leave early. Stayed the whole time. Sat 3 rows from me like I was someone she'd met once at a conference. Second time, grocery shopping. We used to go together Saturday mornings. Our rhythm, our small thing. Now she went alone. Or I did. Never together. Third time, church. On a Sunday morning. 2 cars in the same driveway, going to the same building 5 minutes apart. I didn't say anything. That's what I do. I've always been the one who steps back, makes room, gives her the win. My father, Odessa Upshaw, he was the same way. Quiet man. Worked at the R.J. Reynolds plant for 31 years. Never raised his voice once. "Donnie," he told me when I was 12. "A man who has to yell has already lost the argument." So I didn't yell. Didn't confront. Stepped back, like always. And Verna got used to winning. The closeness went next. Not suddenly, by degrees. Like a thermostat someone keeps turning down a notch at a time. You don't feel the cold until you're already shivering. She stopped reaching for my hand in the hallway. Stopped touching my shoulder when she walked past. The bedroom became a place where two people slept in parallel lines, close enough to see, too far to touch. One night, month 7, I reached over, put my hand on her arm, not pushing, not asking for anything, just there. She pulled away. "Donnie, I'm tired. You're an adult. Deal with it." Those words. I heard them 3 more times in the next 2 months. Same flat delivery every time. Like a recording she kept ready. That's when I found the driving range. Meadowlands, past the highway. Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Sometimes Saturday mornings. I'd rent a bucket, then another, then a third. Not keeping score. Not working on my swing. Just hitting. That clean, sharp sound of the club meeting the ball was the most honest conversation I had all week. Nobody at Meadowlands told me how to stand, what to wear, when to leave. I just swung until my shoulders burned and the bucket was empty. Then I'd drive home in the quiet and sit in the driveway for 10 minutes before going inside. Rufus Dillard came up from Greenville in September. Oldest friend I've got. We played baseball together since Little League, roomed together one summer when I was framing houses in Simpsonville. He wanted to see the new shop, take us to dinner. Verna canceled last minute. Mamie needs me tonight. Women's group emergency. Rufus and I ate alone at Foothills Brewing. He was careful, the way old friends are when they see something wrong but don't want to overstep. "She good?" he asked. "She's adjusting." He nodded. "Let it sit." Then, "You good?" I looked at my beer. "I'm adjusting too." That night, I didn't go home. Told Verna the shop had a water leak. Checked into a Hampton Inn off Haynes Mall Boulevard. Sat on the edge of the bed. TV on mute. Some anchor talking about a settlement between a news network and a voting company. Lawyers shaking hands on screen. Didn't hear a word. My bag was on the floor. Still packed. Didn't take off my shoes for an hour. Just sat there. Trying to remember the last time my wife looked at me like I was someone she'd chosen on purpose. The neighbor showed up around month 8. Young guy, maybe 35, moved into the house across the street. Landscaper. Built like he did his own work. Friendly. Waved every morning. Verna noticed him immediately. Not subtly. She started gardening. Verna Birch, who had never in 11 years of marriage shown interest in soil, suddenly needed to be in the front yard every afternoon between 4 and 5. Right when he was loading equipment into his truck. I'd set up a Ring doorbell our first week in the house. Security habit. Checked the footage one evening. Saw them talking. Laughing. Her hand on her hip. Head tilted. The same posture she used to have with me, back when she was still trying. I said nothing. Another notch on the thermostat. Then she started mentioning him at dinner. Casually at first. The neighbor helped me move the recycling bin. He's surprisingly strong. The twins looked up. Bess went back to her pasta. Rosie watched me. Rosie always watches me. The quiet twin. The one who collects things in her pockets and doesn't say why. Then less casual. He said our house has the best curb appeal on the street. He offered to do some landscaping for us. Pro bono. Then, the Thursday. The one I open with. The driveway. The flirting. The hunger in her eyes. Waiting for an explosion that never came. Don't rush back. Here's the thing about patience. People mistake it for weakness. Verna had spent 11 months testing me. Small provocations, small escalations, each one calibrated to trigger a reaction. When you're the patient one, you see the pattern clearly. You also see the exits. 3 days after that Thursday, I was at Meadowlands. Last bucket of the evening. Range almost empty. Me and one old guy at the far end who hit every ball the exact same direction. Straight left. Consistent in his own way. Footsteps on the mat behind me. Verna. She sat on the bench. Didn't speak for 5 minutes. I kept hitting. "I miss us, Donnie." I didn't turn around. "I miss how we were before the move. In Greenville. When things were simple." Her voice cracked. Not the performance crack I'd been hearing at home. Something rawer. Closer to bone. "I know I've been difficult. I know I haven't been fair to you. The move was harder than I thought. Everything's different here. I don't feel like myself." I set the club down. Turned around. She had tears on her face. Real ones. The kind that ruin your makeup. The kind you don't schedule. "Stay with me here." Because I almost believed it. Every patient fiber in my body wanted to sit next to her, put my arm around her shoulders, and say, "Let's just go home." "Come home tonight," she said. "No separate cars. No Wednesday nights. Just us and the girls." I nodded. "Okay." We drove home in one car. She held my hand across the console. Girls were asleep when we got in. She made chamomile tea. We sat on the couch, her leaning into me the way she used to in Greenville, back when leaning meant something. 48 hours. That's how long I had my wife back. Saturday morning, 6 a.m. I woke because the bedroom was cold, window open. Verna was on the back porch, phone pressed to her ear, voice low but not low enough. I tried the gentle approach. Mamie. He's softening up. Give me another week. Pause. No, I know. But he's not the confrontation type. I just need him to feel guilty enough that he stops noticing where I go. Pause. Yes. I'll handle it. Same as you said. She hung up. Came inside. Saw me standing in the hallway in my boxers, barefoot on cold hardwood. Neither of us said a word. She walked past me to the kitchen. Started making coffee. Exact same rhythm as every morning. Like nothing had happened. Because for her, nothing had. The tears on the driving range, the hand across the console, the chamomile tea. All of it was a phase. A tactic. An assignment. I went back to the bedroom. Sat on the edge of the bed. Same edge, same posture as that Hampton Inn back in September. Only this time I wasn't confused. I was clear. That Monday, I called Theo Shelby. Family attorney Rufus had recommended. Firm near Old Salem. Quiet man, direct. Don't do anything dramatic, Theo said. Don't move out. Don't confront her. Don't change the locks. Just document everything. I'm a cabinet maker. I measure things for a living. I can read a 1/16 of an inch on a tape. Documenting wasn't going to be the hard part. I stopped saying good morning. Not a strategy. I just didn't have it in me. Tuesday, she told me about a new patient at the office. I said, that's nice, and went back to sanding a drawer front. Wednesday, she asked if I wanted to watch something after the girls went down. Orders to finish, I said. Thursday, she suggested dinner Friday, that new place on 4th. Meeting Rufus, I said. Friday, she stood in the kitchen doorway watching me tie my boots. You're different lately, she said. Distant. I'm the same, Verna. You just started paying attention. Saturday morning, she made pancakes for the girls. Set a plate at my seat. I ate standing at the counter. That afternoon, Rufus called. Not about the divorce. About something else. Don, you check Verna's Instagram lately? I don't do social media. Never have. You should. Verna had posted photos from Cranky's Coffee on 4th Street. In 3 of them, the neighbor sat across from her. Laughing. Close. In one, her hand was on his arm. Caption. Sometimes the best conversations happen with the people right next door. 47 likes. Heart emoji from Mamie Forsyth in the comments. I sat in my shop for a long time after that, running my hand along a piece of walnut that didn't need smoothing. Sawdust settling on my arms. Didn't brush it off. Here's what hit me. She hadn't been the target of flirting. She'd been the source. The driveway story, the he keeps flirting with me. It was theater. She was the one leaning in. She was the one posting it for the world. She'd told me the neighbor was pursuing her, so I'd get jealous, get loud. Give her the fight she could take back to Mamie as proof that I was controlling or unstable. My wife wasn't being chased. She was building a stage and auditioning for a new audience, and using the neighbor's face as the backdrop. The following week, Verna did something she hadn't done in years. She wrote me a letter. Left it on my pillow. Handwritten, 3 pages. Beautiful cursive. She'd always had beautiful handwriting, the kind they don't teach anymore. She wrote about the night we met. Mutual friends barbecue in Greenville, summer of 2013. How I was the only guy not talking over everyone else. How she watched me listen, really listen, to Rufus's father tell a 20-minute fishing story about a catfish that got away on Lake Hartwell. I fell in love with your patience, Donnie. I forgot how rare that is. I forgot what I have. I read that letter 3 times. Sat in the bedroom with the door closed. Bess knocked. Daddy, are you coming out to play? And I said, 5 minutes, sweetheart. I picked up my phone. Almost called Theo. Almost said stop the filing. Almost. But something Rufus told me sat in my chest like a river stone. Quiet men see patterns, Dawn. Trust what you see, not what you hear. That night, Verna left her phone on the charger in the kitchen. She was in the bath. A notification lit the screen. From Mamie Forsyth. Did you write the letter like we discussed? Remember, specific memories. The barbecue. The fishing story. Whatever makes him feel seen. Men who feel seen stop asking questions. Give it a week, then we move forward. The fishing story. The patience line. The word seen. Every sentence on those 3 handwritten pages had been coached into my wife by a pastor's wife who ran a Wednesday night group on Oak Summit Road. I set the phone down, exactly where it was. Walked outside. Stood in the driveway. November air, sharp against my face. No anger. Something past anger. Colder. The way a finished measurement feels. No room for adjustment. Final. Next morning, I dropped Bess and Rosie at school. Drove to Grace Fellowship Church. Asked to see Pastor Forsyth. He was a thin man. Kind eyes, restless hands. We sat in his office with the door closed. I need to ask you something about your wife's group, Pastor. How many marriages has Mamie counseled through? He went still. Looked at the floor. Then the ceiling. Then me. 6, he said quietly. How many still together? 2. A pause. Those 2 stopped attending early. The other 4? 3 divorced. 1, the husband left the state. He told me the rest. Mamie had a pattern. She found women who were struggling, frustrated wives, women in transitions, women who'd moved to new cities and lost their support systems. She'd bring them in, make them feel heard, make them feel chosen. Then she'd turn them against their husbands, one Wednesday at a time. She tells them they're carrying too much, Pastor Forsyth said, staring at his own hands. That they deserve to be pursued. That their husbands are complacent. That a real woman doesn't settle for a quiet life if a louder one is available. Does she know she's doing it? He rubbed his face with both palms. I've been asking myself that for 3 years. 3 years. For families. And mine was number 5. I thanked him. Walked to my truck. Sat there for 10 seconds. Then got out and walked to the range instead. Meadowlands was empty that morning. Just me and the grass and 200 balls I didn't keep score on. That evening, Verna was at the kitchen table when I got home. The girls were at a playdate 2 doors down. She started before I could sit. Where were you? I texted 3 times. Grace Fellowship. Sat with Pastor Forsyth. Her face tightened. Just the eyes. Just for a second. What about? About Mamie. About her group. About the 4 marriages before ours. Silence. The kind that presses against your chest and doesn't let go. You had no right to. The letter, Verna. She stopped. The fishing story. The word patience. Men who feel seen stop asking questions. Her text. On your phone. Saturday night. She sat down slowly. Like the chair might give. Donnie, it's not what. And the neighbor. I kept my voice level. That's the part she never learned to handle. The calm. She'd built her whole strategy around provoking heat. And I kept giving her winter. You told me he was flirting with you. But I saw the photos, Verna. Cranky's coffee. Your hand on his arm. Your caption. You weren't being pursued. You were performing. You wanted me jealous, because Mamie told you a jealous husband is a husband who still cares. And when I said don't rush back, you panicked. Because for the first time in 11 years, you pushed, and nothing pushed back. She started crying. Not the tears from the driving range. These were ugly, gasping, the kind that come from a place you can't rehearse. I didn't mean for it to go this far, she whispered. Mamie said if you didn't react, it meant you were already gone. She said a man who won't fight is a man who's already left. She was right about that last part. Donnie, please. The girls, Bess asked me 2 weeks ago why we drive separate cars to the same church. I didn't have an answer that wasn't a lie. I'm done lying to my daughters. She covered her face with both hands. Her shoulders shook. And for one moment, I saw the woman from that barbecue in Greenville. The one who watched a quiet man listen to a fishing story and thought, that's the one. But that woman had been slowly replaced. Wednesday by Wednesday, session by session, by a pastor's wife who knew exactly where the cracks were and exactly how hard to press. Theo Shelby filed the papers yesterday, I said. You'll get your copies by Friday. She looked up. Wet face. Swollen eyes. Who is Theo Shelby? My attorney. The silence after that, the one where she understood, was the loudest sound our house had ever held. That was November. By January, I had an apartment on Reynolda Road. Small. Clean. 2 bedrooms. One for me, one for the twins. Bess hung her drawings on the fridge before I'd unpacked the kitchen boxes. Rosie lined up her crayons on the windowsill by color. Purple was separate from blue. She was firm about that. My father drove up from Columbia the first weekend. Odessa Upshaw, 73 years old, still quiet, still steady. He didn't ask what happened. Just helped me build the girls' bunk bed, tighten the joints, and stayed for dinner. You good? He said at the door. Getting there. He nodded. That's enough. I heard from Rufus that Pastor Forsyth finally addressed it from the pulpit. Not by name, A sermon about the difference between counsel and control. 3 families left Grace Fellowship that month. Mamie stepped back from the group. Whether she understood what she'd been doing, I still don't know. Some people build cages and call them shelters. I still go to Meadowlands. Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Bucket after bucket. Not keeping score. Last week Bess asked if she could come. I gave her a plastic club and a foam ball. She swung with everything she had. Missed every time. Didn't care. Just kept swinging. "Daddy," she said, wiping grass off her knees. "Is Mommy coming too?" I looked out at the range. Evening light turning the grass gold. The sky doing that thing it does in North Carolina. Can't decide between pink and orange, so it does both. "Don't rush back, sweetheart," I said. "We've got all the time we need right here." Dear listeners, that's our ending. If it resonated, subscribe to support the channel. See you next time.